Hi, this is Harbourmaster, our agentic system, which acts as workflow governance control plane for agentic LLM tender review. Imagine handing a government procurement contract to an AI system to review it. Yeah, it's fast, fascinating, but who checks it for prompt injection? Who decides when a clause is too risky to auto-approve? And when a regulator asks why a decision was made, where is the audit trail? That's why we have Harbourmaster. It's a governed multi-agent control plane for tender and contract review, built on Gemini, LangGraph, Ariza Phoenix, and Elasticsearch, using the MCP servers for those technologies. And if we switch here to our GitHub repository and jump to the system architecture, we can see here that we have two layers of governance. Layer one is an inline guard, which is an LLM as judge that scores every input and output as either allow, human review, or deny. So prompt injection buried, for example, in a PDF or a specific contract document never reaches the model unchecked. The second layer after this inline guard is the layer of workflow governor, where we have five specialist agents score real commercial and financial risks. And when that risk crosses a specific pre-configured threshold, the workflow pauses for human in the loop to review and take an action, given that specific risk is quite high and it requires a human intervention. Let me show you how we can do that. I will load a real-world example which has actually high risk clauses inside. And we can see here that if we loaded this sample, for example, or even we loaded this sample by uploading a PDF document or text file or MD file, and we start processing after selecting from here what are the active corporate policies we would like to apply, and start the reviewing process, the processing of that tender will start here, as we can see, and we have a chain of specialist agents. Every agent is specialized in a specific aspect: legal, financial, delivery, intellectual property, and compliance. It's actually running against this execution pipeline to ensure that everything has been looked at and the clauses of that contract has been reviewed properly. Then make an aggregated calculation and assessment of the overall risk in that contract. As we can see, it's processing now. So we kept the corporate policies active, so the compliance specialist checks against them. As we can see, we have compliance specialist as well. And it's actually processing, watch the live execution. First, the inline guard clears the input, then LangGraph as an orchestrator fans out to those 5 specialist agents in parallel. Each one of them is calling Gemini with policy evidence retrieved from Elasticsearch as a memory for that agentic system. Verifier agent then keeps and revising or drop each finding to cut the hallucinated risks. And finally, we have the overall risk crossed if the overall risk crossed our threshold. So the workflow, as we see soon, will interrupt itself and hand it control to the human. Yes, as we can see, human oversight required, review findings and submit your decision, because risk is really high here. It's 0.9. And according to the configured threshold, these are the findings which justify that high risk, and automatically the workflow interrupted itself and handed the control to me as a human to approve or reject. So I will add a note for the drafter here: refer the unlimited indemnity to legal before signing, for example, and I will keep it as approved and submit decision. So it will start the processing here. On resume, the negotiator agent, as we can see, drafts counter clauses, and the system produces a final draft summary. Yeah, this is the second one, summary draft. So the human decision is backed into the output based on the comment I just added. Here's the finished overview: the overall risk, the decision, counter clauses for the risky terms, and governance inspection reports. All of that is saved automatically to the review history. These are the draft summary with the key policy breaches and high risk summarized here, and the final recommendations. And these are the detailed findings with justifications and evidence, and the compliance findings, and so on. And also the specialist agent finding, classified and categorized here by each agent type. And we have the review history where all of the previous contract reviews automatically saved here where we can refer to it. If we go to the governance dashboard, as we can see here, every model call was just made streamed to Ariza Phonics with open inference tracing. This governance dashboard reads those spans back as a regulator-friendly review. So that kind of view is giving a holistic statistics for the different spans recorded in the Ariza Phonics dashboard for that project. And we can see the trace and the span logs as well. We can see also the risk score with the rule name and from which agent that risk has been highlighted and calculated and so on. I can see how many calls were allowed versus denied, the average risk, how risk is distributed, the guard category chart breakdown, and why anything was flagged here from these charts. And here, that list is exportable where we can have a full and filterable audit log as CSV file. Nothing about the agent's decision is a black box. So it's completely interpretable and explainable. And we have here also the red team scorecard, where we have a test suite, a red team test suite. If we run those test cases to identify and see the performance of our agentic system against the common pattern of the security vulnerabilities through this red team test suite. So each test case goes through the real guard and the real system. So the guard denies the attacks, allows the legitimate tenders, and every result is logged as a Phoenix experiment behind the scene. So the security posture here is measured, repeatable, and trending over time. And finally, we have governance copilot, this a conversational interface, which allows us to chat over guard telemetry, saved reviews, procurement memory, and Phoenix experiments. And that conversational copilot agent allows us to interact with the telemetry data through the Ariza Phoenix MCP server. So if we look here and we start chatting with this, I can ask it to find similar high-risk clauses from prior tenders. So I can just invoke this suggested prompt to see the results. And we can see it's actually showing us the sources and tools invoked. And we can also check the summarization of guard denial, if any, from the traces. It's invoking Phoenix MCP server. It can check also the active corporate policy, which apply to intellectual property ownership, and so on. So as we can see, we can write down here the prompt, and based on the traces, spans, and the telemetry data, that invocation for the MCP servers will happen behind the scene. And finally, we have here the administration part for corporate policy, where we can add and edit corporate policies and add multiple policies as well. And here the deployment configuration. Thank you.